secretly planning my escape from my controlling husband while he's away, with his own divorce papers in my pocket. I'm 29 years old, and I've been married to my husband Alex, who's 30. We first met in college during our freshman year, just two awkward, hopeful kids who bonded over late-night study sessions and shared coffee dates. For years, we were just friends, then something shifted, and we started dating. Fast forward through graduation, first jobs, and all those nerve-wracking milestones, and now we've been married for just 7 months. My relationship with Alex's family has always been polite, even warm sometimes, but never very close. We get along at gatherings, share the occasional text, but I've never quite felt part of their inner circle. Still, I never thought much of it, that's just how some families are. But lately, Alex has started to make me feel incredibly uncomfortable. At first, it was subtle. He'd ask who I was meeting when I left the house, where I was going, how long I'd be out, what we'd be doing. I brushed it off as him being protective, maybe a little anxious, the way someone who loves you might be if they've watched too many true crime shows. But then after these outings, he started to check my phone. Every time. He'd go through my messages, sometimes ask about my friends, and then would actually research them, looking up their profiles, wanting details. Suddenly, every friend I had was a mystery to be solved. It didn't stop there. Now, he's constantly insisting that I link my bank account to his, saying he should be in charge of the finances. He was perfectly fine keeping things separate before we got married, but now it's a daily fight. He doesn't understand why I resist, and I'm exhausted trying to explain how it makes me feel. But yesterday things went from controlling to something I can only call terrifying. Alex is about to leave for 2 weeks on a work trip to California. Before he left, he demanded that I wear a tracker, a little clip that goes on my belt or waistband, so he could watch me while he's gone. That was the moment everything crystallized in my mind. I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm suffocating. I reached out, in desperation, to his family when he started acting like this, trying to explain how worried I was about his behavior, but they just shrugged it off, telling me he was just being careful, just being a good husband. Honestly, that answer terrified me almost as much as him. So here I am, counting down the days until he's back. His flight lands on May 11th. I need to gather my things, find somewhere else to live, see if my job allows me to transfer someplace far from here, and avoid arousing any suspicion at all. Here's the truly twisted part. Alex has always threatened me, saying that if he ever caught me cheating, even suspected it, he'd file for divorce that day. He literally keeps divorce papers, filled out with his information, in his desk drawer as some kind of warning. I've decided, the day I leave, I'll use those papers and submit them myself. There's so much to do, packing, moving, planning, doing it all silently. No close family I can trust. All my friends, we met together, and I can't risk dragging them into the fallout. Edit, I realized I need to check for hidden cameras in the house before I start quietly packing or prepping, just in case. I honestly didn't think about not using his prepared divorce papers, but now I'm considering shredding them and contacting a lawyer for myself. Luckily, we live in a no-fault divorce state, which makes things a little simpler. The tracker he wants me to wear is small, easy to clip on. I'll keep it on unless I'm actively arranging things for my escape. No pets, thank God, it's just me this time. I'm determined to get out before he gets home. I have about 2 weeks. I just need to survive until then. Update 1. Before I get into the update, there are a few things I need to clarify because I've gotten a lot of support and some really insightful questions. Some people have been curious about whether I'm hiding things from Alex when I go out, or about who I'm meeting. The truth is, I don't hide anything from him, but it's the way he reacts that's been twisting my life into knots. It started small, but has grown into this suffocating cycle. Whenever I tell him anything, he starts cross-checking every detail with others. He wants to know exactly who was there, what I said to each person, whether I sent any texts, what I ate, how much food I ordered, every minute detail of my evening, right down to things that make me feel as if I'm being pinned, defenseless, in a corner. It didn't start out this bad, but it's built up slowly until now I feel trapped inside my own life. Thankfully, none of Alex's family or my in-laws are likely to stumble onto my plans. They're all neck deep in their gardening and DIY hobbies, and even if by some long shot they do find out, I'm hoping I'll be long gone by then. I had an honest talk with my manager at work. I explained my situation, and she promised to see if there were any job openings in other states where the company could transfer me, and said she'd have an answer for me in 3 days. Knowing that my bank account is safe gives me some peace. He's tried before to get into it and failed, so that's one less thing to worry about. I found 3 cameras hidden inside our house, one in the kitchen, another in the living room, and the last in our bedroom. For now, I've left all of them exactly where they are. Instead, I do all of my planning and any necessary phone calls in the bathroom, pretending to be taking a long bath, because that's the only place in the house where I'm reasonably sure I have some privacy. When it comes to seeking help, I've kept away from any domestic violence services in town. My sister-in-law volunteers there and she's in a pretty influential position, so if I were to show up, I know she'd be informed immediately. That feels far too dangerous. I can't start looking for an apartment yet, not until my company gives me an answer about the transfer. Either way, I will be leaving the state. The day before I leave, I'll be changing my phone number, switching carriers, and wiping both my own laptop and all of Alex's electronics before I go. I've met with 2 different lawyers and had them review the paperwork my husband prepared. Both pointed out some worrying clauses that could have been serious trouble for me down the road. What scared me the most was that several of the sections dealt with future children, not as a hypothetical, but as if it was a given. After some of what I've read here and the feelings I get from Alex, I am almost certain he intended to get me pregnant to keep me tethered to him forever. There are 3 cities my company could possibly send me to, so just in case, I've begun researching all 3, looking into neighborhoods, apartments, anything that might give me a safer new start. If, for any reason, my job can't find a transfer for me, I'm prepared. I'll leave anyway, quit if I have to, and figure things out on my own. I have enough saved up to get by for a few months, and I'm determined not to let that stop me. It stings, but all our friends are shared with Alex and I don't think any of them would understand the danger of sharing small details with him. My own close family is gone, and relying on my in-laws is absolutely out of the question. The reality is, I have to do this on my own. The only support system I have right now are the bonds I've started to build for myself, and the hope that soon, I'll finally be free. Update 2. Good news came my way. A position opened up at my company that not only matches my qualifications, but also means relocating clear across the country with a nice bump in salary. The wheels immediately started turning in my head, plotting out my next moves. To stave off suspicion and keep things running smoothly, I began telling my in-laws and friends that I was planning a surprise outing for my husband when he returned, just something special for the 2 of us. If anyone saw me out and about, this little white lie would cover any odd looks or pressing questions. I even asked my mother-in-law to show me his favorite recipes, leaning into the ruse. Behind the scenes, I tracked down a small but reliable moving company that's willing to brave a storm. That was key, because there's a massive front expected to hit in 5 days, and I need everything to move quickly and quietly. My plan is to shut off the breaker and, if questioned, claim the power's out, just as several people advised. To really sell it, I'll record a short video of the wind and rain lashing the house and send it to him. Nothing unusual for this area. All my things will be out that afternoon, disappearing with the moving trucks under cover of storm clouds. As soon as the sky's clear enough, I'll be on a plane to my new beginning. Thankfully, my lawyer is pushing the divorce paperwork through for me, and I've signed everything necessary so I don't need to stay any longer than I have to. I'm not fighting for assets or alimony, the cleanest break possible. I even destroyed his copy of the divorce papers to tie up that loose end. I set up a basic payphone plan through Cricket just until this is all over, and after that, I'll switch to a new phone, a new number, a new carrier. This current phone will be wiped and left behind. My work-issued laptop is coming with me, after our IT department scoured it and gave it a clean bill of health. No other electronics are making the trip. If Alex wants to speak to me, he can do it through my lawyer. Now all that's left is to hope nothing tips him off before I'm gone for good. I won't be flipping that breaker back on, either. He can deal with that when he returns. With my work footing the bill for my plane ticket, that's one less thing to worry about. I'm crossing my fingers for a smooth escape and a fresh start. Update 3. It's been a whirlwind of a week, but I've managed to accomplish so much. The biggest change? I finally left the house and checked into a hotel while I hunt for an apartment. The city I'm in is alive at all hours, people bustling everywhere I look, which is both exhilarating and overwhelming. Just as I was leaving, a nasty storm tore through back home. It raged for 2 straight days with high winds, booming thunder, lightning slicing through the sky, and hail hammering down, almost as if the weather matched the chaos in my own life. When I left, I didn't take much, just the essentials, my documents, clothes, and a few irreplaceable sentimental items. I walked away from all of the furniture and electronics, every last bit left behind. Before I locked the door for the last time, I scrubbed the house from top to bottom, capturing photos on my phone to protect myself in case he tries to pin any damage on me. Every little precaution felt like a lifeline. Divorce proceedings are already in motion. My lawyer has taken the reins and my soon-to-be ex will be served on the 8th. His plane lands early that morning and the sheriff plans to be waiting for him at the house. The irony is stark. He's a man obsessed with image and reputation, and this will shatter the facade at the doorstep. My lawyer also has strict instructions to call him, letting him know I'm absolutely willing to take everything public if that's what it takes to secure my freedom. However long this takes in court, I'll be there, determined to push it all the way through. I haven't spoken to our friends or his in-laws yet. I'm timing that for while he's on the flight so there's no chance of him hearing about it prematurely. I plan to call and explain everything, hoping to preempt any lies or twisted tales he might try to spread about me. Above all, I don't want him concocting stories of affairs or shifting the blame onto me. I want to be the one to set the truth free before he can twist it. Emotionally, I'm hanging in there. I feel bone tired, yet there's a buzzing, jittery edge to everything, like I'm still watching my back and monitoring what I say, even when it's finally safe to breathe. Maybe that will fade, with time. Thankfully, my work is generously covering the cost of the hotel, and I'm focusing on getting everything else in order, legal, personal, and practical. Top of my list, finding a new doctor so I can get a full checkup and make sure I'm starting this new chapter on solid ground. I'm not sure when my next update will be, probably when the divorce papers are officially filed, or if I end up in court to push things forward. Sometimes I feel like my head is barely above water with all these endless tasks, but I'm trying to keep my chin up. I used to think leaving the house would mean instant relief, and while the fear has shrunk, somehow the number of things I have to juggle just keeps growing. It all feels like being swept up in a whirlwind, spinning, breathless, yet finally moving forward. Update 4. Sorry I haven't updated in a while. Life got a little hectic and, honestly, completely chaotic. My top priority has been finding my own place. I've got applications in at 3 different apartments right now, and I'm anxiously waiting to hear back from them. In the meantime, I'm still working at the new location, so fortunately, I'm not blowing through my emergency savings as fast as I'd feared. The emails started flooding in, not just from Alex, but from his family and our old friend group. Question after question. I responded only once to Alex. I told him plainly that I didn't believe we were truly compatible, and it was best for us to go our separate ways now. I explained that the way he treated me, especially when I had done nothing to deserve it, was just as much of a deal breaker for me as cheating was for him. I ended the email by making it clear I wouldn't be contacting him anymore, and that any further communication, anything he needed to pass on or get from me, would have to go through my lawyer. For his family and friends, I put everything into one email. I outlined what had happened and why I made the decision to leave. I wished them no ill will, but I was candid. Treating a wife or partner like that wasn't acceptable. I really hoped that, if Alex remarries in the future, they would actually support both partners and not just blindly side with Alex. Then came the fireworks. According to my lawyer, Alex was absolutely livid when he got served. The sheriff ended up having to book him for assault on an officer and menacing, thanks to the threats Alex was screaming. His father got him bailed out within a few hours, but with the sheriff's testimony, my lawyer thinks I've got a solid shot at getting a restraining order. When Alex returned to the house, he apparently lost his mind. He smashed our dining table to splinters, destroyed the TV, and punched several holes in the walls. That's what I learned from one of our friends, who'd been called by Alex to come help clean up the tornado he'd created. Thankfully, before all that, I had already taken pictures of the entire place, every room, every corner, and sent them to my lawyer, complete with timestamps, showing everything was intact when I left. Alex apparently tried to turn it around and claim that I'd trashed the place, but the holes in the walls are all at head height. Alex is 6 feet 3 inches, I'm 5 feet 4 inches. My friend knew that claim was ridiculous. Those photos might save me, and I'm so grateful for the advice to take them. I wouldn't have thought of it on my own. I don't have to worry about my work sharing any of my info. It's a discreet environment. I handle contracts, notary, and business management for some high-end clients who prize their privacy. So, even if Alex tried hunting for me using my job, he'd be out of luck. No gossipy leaks, no breadcrumbs to follow. For now, I'm just taking it one step at a time, holding my ground, and keeping my eyes on freedom ahead. Update 5. It's been a while since everything started, and I figured it was time to fill in some gaps and answer questions I've been getting before diving into how things stand now. Things may stay quiet for a while after this. Nothing's stable in my world just yet. First off, I didn't bring my car here. The public transport is actually great, so it's easy enough to get around without one. I managed to secure an apartment, and safety was really my top priority. The building itself takes security seriously. You can't even get into the lobby without a key card. There's also a security guard right by the entrance, keeping a close watch on everyone who comes in. When I signed my lease, as part of the contract, I handed over a photo of Alex and his family. Even if, by some wild chance, they tracked me down to this building, they wouldn't make it past the lobby. When it came to the emails I sent out, the responses I got varied more than I was expecting. Alex's family responded that I was overreacting and insisted that I owed Alex an apology for all the trouble I was putting him through. They reminded me several times that his pending criminal charges put his job on the line, and if he's convicted, he could lose everything. Alex himself ended up sending a long, emotional email, filled with apologies and desperate pleas for me to come home. He said he's worried about me, said he's willing to go to therapy if it will make me feel safer. He begged to stay together and told me that leaving was not an appropriate reaction to what he claims was his genuine concern for my health and safety. My friends only had lukewarm things to say, which honestly didn't surprise me. Most of them assured me that they never thought Alex would actually hurt me, and that I was letting my imagination get the better of me. Part of me wanted to be shocked at how little support I received, but the truth is, deep down, I saw it coming. Alex has every intention of fighting the divorce. I'm letting my lawyer handle it and I'm pushing for a protective order as well. The moment I got approved for my apartment, I froze my credit. I switched phone carriers, changed my number, and made absolutely certain that in all my official documents, Alex isn't listed anywhere, not as next of kin, not as power of attorney, nothing. People keep asking why I'm so paranoid about Alex and the lengths I've gone to. But for me, the answer is simple: my grandmother. I loved her fiercely. When I was a teenager, she finally told me the truth about why my grandfather was never around. He was a nightmare, abusive, manipulative, and cruel. She came from a generation where divorce wasn't something women did, not if they wanted to keep a roof over their heads or a decent job. She suffered as quietly as she could and protected my mother as best she could until my grandfather died. Whenever I catch myself wondering if I'm overreacting, I remind myself of what my grandmother told me, that she wished she'd seen my grandfather for what he really was when she still had the option to annul the marriage and save herself. I won't ignore my instincts the way she had to. I honestly don't know when I'll have another update, maybe once the divorce is finalized, or if something major happens. Until then, all I can do is keep my head above water and keep moving forward. Update 6. It's been a month since my last update, and so much has shifted that I feel compelled to share what's been happening. The divorce is underway, but even though I don't actually need Alex's consent, he's refusing to cooperate, so everything has to go through the courts. That means I could be looking at upwards of 6 months just to make this official, despite the fact that I'm not asking for property, alimony, or compensation. All I want is a clean break, a real separation. Alex has been trying to reach me by using our friends as go-betweens, refusing to use my lawyer and complaining that I am hiding behind legal representation. He insists it's disrespectful and cowardly not to face him directly. He did hand a letter to my lawyer, but when I read it, it was all justification. Him claiming the world is dangerous for women these days and that his need to protect me justified everything he did. He asked me to understand that his every action was about keeping me safe and acted wounded, like I had betrayed him by lying and hiding my dissatisfaction, or by moving out without warning. I couldn't bring myself to reply. Not once in his letter did he apologize. He made it all about me being dramatic, emotional, or cowardly, twisting my pain back onto me again. But what really unsettled me was the second letter, this one from my sister-in-law. Reading her words was chilling. She wrote 5 paragraphs describing what a real abusive relationship supposedly looks like, focusing solely on financial and physical abuse, insisting Alex is the furthest thing from abusive. She even claimed that I'm the abuser for smearing her brother's name for attention and clout. She dismissed everything that I went through, reducing my experience to manipulative theatrics. Honestly, I haven't processed that completely. Sometimes, late at night, I even start to wonder if she's right. I keep replaying my departure, leaving suddenly, cutting off communication, and questioning whether I'm being too harsh or selfish. My old boss suggested I look into therapy after I moved, and I think he was right. Adjustment to life alone has been so much harder than I expected. I find myself censoring my thoughts, hesitating over the smallest choices. I haven't even dared to go out to eat, too worried about doing something frivolous and somehow getting in trouble for it, despite knowing it's okay now. On the legal front, my lawyer is still pushing the divorce forward, and fortunately, I shouldn't have to physically appear in court. Any necessary meetings with the judge can happen over Zoom, which I'm grateful for. I want to avoid any confrontation with Alex or his family for now. I handed both letters to my lawyer, just in case they're needed later. Most of our shared friends are still straddling the fence, avoiding any hint of taking sides. At this point, I'm close to letting them go too. I'm exhausted from trying to make them see what's really happening, tired of fighting for their understanding. So now, I wait. I don't know if anything will change soon. My next update might not come until mid-November, depending on how long this process drags on. Work has become my lifeline, the one piece of familiarity and routine anchoring me when so much of my world has been swept away and is still shifting beneath my feet. Update 7. It's been quite a journey since I last had a chance to share what's been happening. I needed to wait for the court to step in, since Alex flat out refused my request for a divorce. At first, we tried mediated sessions over Zoom, 4 agonizing sessions that led absolutely nowhere. Alex's demands were out of this world, even for him. He insisted that I admit to our friends, and to everyone I'd told about his behavior, that I'd made it all up for sympathy. He wanted me to pay him for defamation and suffering, including his lost wages for the couple of days he spent in jail, before he was bailed out. And of course, he demanded I return and, in his exact words, stop my foolish behavior and act like a proper wife and partner. That wasn't ever going to happen, not in a million years. With nothing resolved, I found myself sitting in front of a judge who, thankfully, saw right through Alex's performance. I spent far too long convincing myself Alex wasn't what he so obviously was, and I kicked myself for it. Maybe I just didn't want to believe it. The judge, though, saw past his nonsense within the first 10 minutes. I have to admit, it was oddly cathartic to witness Alex argue with the judge, a lot. He was even held in contempt 4 separate times. Maybe that's why the whole process wrapped up as quickly as it did. He tried dragging in his family as character witnesses, but the judge shrugged them off, saying they'd never seen or heard any abuse and only knew one version of Alex. When it all wrapped up, after the judge approved the divorce, he straight up called Alex a narcissist and, in what I didn't even think judges could say, suggested that if Alex loved himself so much he should marry a mirror next. I almost laughed out loud, but my lawyer just shook his head and gestured for me to stay quiet, so we left. So here it is, the update I hoped for, waited for, barely dared to imagine. I'm officially divorced. The papers were processed 3 days ago, and I still wake up wondering if this is really my life. No contact with Alex, no desire for it, and no urge to let any of our so-called friends back in either. I won't be giving out my new contact information. Truthfully, I had to rethink every single one of those friendships. It hit me hard, but all that advice ringing in my ears, about how real friends don't abandon you, helped me see the truth. They were never friends at all. Starting over wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I moved far away from all of it. New place, new home, New friends. The process is slow. Therapy took nearly 3 months to arrange thanks to long waitlists, but I've been going 3 times a week since. It's helping, even with things from my past I thought I'd already worked through. I've heard from my lawyer that Alex didn't take the divorce well. I honestly have no idea what happened, but apparently he did something at work that lost him his job. My lawyer did something I hadn't even thought about. He took the letter my ex-sister-in-law had sent me and forwarded it, with a formal statement about Alex and the judge's decision, to the domestic violence organization she worked at. She lost her job, too. When my lawyer told me, saying, Slim is on a leaky rowboat to China about her employment prospects, I laughed until I cried. I've cried a lot lately, actually, but my therapist says that's healthy. I'm not bottling things up anymore, I'm finally processing. If things get easier and my emotions level out, I hope I can share more details in the future, but right now, I just needed to let this out and say, to anyone who's been listening or supporting me, thank you. I can't express how much it meant to be reminded that leaving him didn't mean my life was over or irreparably marked. Work is going well, and finally having a routine has helped me feel stable again, after so much chaos. A month has flown by since I finalized the divorce from Alex. My mood swings are still hanging around, but they don't last as long as before, which feels like real progress. Following my therapist's advice, I joined a local self-defense club to help channel some of that restless fight or flight energy. The first few times were awkward, but the group has been wonderfully welcoming. Going twice a week has seriously calmed my anxiety and restless energy, and my sleep is so much better. I also joined an online book club. There's talk of meeting in person at a local park, which is really exciting, but I admit it feels strange, like I'm a kid who's just switched schools again, trying to find my place. Sometimes I catch myself about to drown in that sensation of sink or swim. My therapist suggested I take a step back in those moments, remind myself, I control my actions. If I don't want to do something, I don't have to. My emotions are valid, but they don't get to dictate my every move. She's also made me realize how much I've tried to fix other people's moods, something I need to stop. She told me that their emotions are not my responsibility, only my own. It's easier said than done, but I'm learning. This year, I'm toying with the idea of celebrating my new freedom with a visit to my grandmother's grave. I just want to talk to her, as silly as that may sound. It feels right. Either way, I passed on your thanks to my lawyer. He gave me a smug grin and said he loves giving people who think they're untouchable the karma they deserve, being karma's helping hand, as he put it. He's kept me updated on both Alex and his sister to make sure neither tries anything. Apparently, my ex-sister-in-law threw such a fit when she was fired that she got herself barred from the premises. She really does share some of Alex's temper. Right now, she's working at Lowe's to pay the fines for the damage she caused at her last job, since she was only volunteering at the DV center. Alex, for now, has stayed quiet, which actually worried me at first. But my lawyer said he's keeping his head down. He managed to get another job with a construction crew, and he knows if he messes up, he'll lose everything. The court awarded me damages for emotional distress and harm. Even though Alex never laid a hand on me, I was able to prove my case with all the records of our text conversations. This has been the hardest, most transformative chapter of my life, and I'm inching toward hope and healing, one day, one shaky but determined step at a time. Between Alex and me, there's really nothing left to discuss about the tracker or the ridiculous rule that I wasn't allowed to leave the house without permission. My financial situation is stable enough that I don't need to bother with alimony. My lawyer advised me to focus on seeking compensation for damages instead, and I agreed. Now, Alex's family seems to detest me. They've even contacted my lawyer, demanding he pass along the message that I've ruined both Alex and his sister's lives with my lies. At this point, I can't say that I care anymore. Whatever empathy and energy I had to spare is gone. What I have left is strictly for myself now. I want it, and I deserve it, and I'm not about to waste any more of it on anyone else's emotional needs. It's hard, especially with the holidays approaching and the house feeling so quiet. But a few weeks back, fate intervened in the form of a tiny kitten I found in the alley next to my work. He's such a raggedy, scrappy little thing, jet black with long hair, 3 white paws, and, heartbreakingly, no tail. Just the first vertebrae and nothing else. I took him straight to the vet, who said that sometimes mothers accidentally bite off the tail at birth. It happens, apparently, though I'd never heard of anything like it before. I decided his name would be Bandit. Now, I'm not entirely alone. Instead, I have a pint-sized hunter on my hands. This kitten thinks everything is fair game. Including my toes. I've started wearing slippers constantly, because those miniature claws of his are like freaking daggers. Honestly, I never thought that joy would come scampering into my life on 3 white paws, but Bandit is just what I needed. Update 8. I didn't want to bog everyone down with the small details here and there, as recovering and learning who I am feels like a process that never truly ends. Still, good things have happened, my life has stabilized, and I wanted to share how things have turned out. First, Bandit is doing great. He's still a little skittish sometimes, probably a habit from his days as a stray kitten, but somehow he's both quiet and a total menace at the same time. I swear, sometimes I think he sent out some sort of cat signal, because about 5 months ago, another kitten decided my house was going to be his home, and how could I say no? Now I have 2 cats. His name is Maverick and he absolutely lives up and down to that name. He's a full-time cuddler. If I sit, he wants to be on my lap, purring constantly. He adores meat and gets a great deal of joy out of turning Bandit's life into chaos like an annoying little brother. Work is going well. The job is stable and challenging, which keeps me focused and doesn't let me get lost in my own head the way I might if the work were easy. The rest of the time, I feel a bit like I'm herding cats and, honestly, losing. About a month ago, I signed a lease on a new apartment, a great one-bedroom that actually has an in-unit washer and dryer. I was so excited for that, and then instantly felt very old for how much I cared about it. Health-wise, I found a new GP and had a comprehensive set of tests done. Thankfully, everything came back clear, though she did warn me that I showed signs of high blood pressure. She thought it might be more from stress and circumstances than from diet or genetics and encouraged me to keep up with my exercise routine. I've also started what I call International Night on Fridays after work, where I cook a meal from another country. Some have been great, some less so, but it's been a lot of fun to experiment. Therapy is still a journey, but I'm making progress. The panicking and spirals aren't nearly as bad now, and when they do come, they pass faster. That's real progress. I've started to make a decent group of friends here. None are quite at sister level yet, but they're good, genuine people who actually care about me. A couple of months ago, I visited my grandmother's grave. I had a bit of a breakdown there, but even with the snow, I felt oddly warm. It's hard to describe, but it made sense to me, even with the wind biting at my face. It helped to pour everything out to someone who understood and couldn't judge, just to vent and let it all bleed out. My therapist requested that I call her after, and I did. It feels strange, in a good way, to have someone that invested in my mental health even outside her office. As for Alex and his family, I haven't contacted them and, truthfully, I haven't wanted to. There are people who have tried to convince me that thinking about what Alex and his family did meant I missed my ex-husband or felt guilty, but their logic doesn't make sense to me. I don't miss him, I just miss what I thought I had, and more in the future we could have had if he hadn't been a controlling narcissist. But I don't miss him, his family, and I have zero regrets about leaving. Alex is still working at the construction company, and his sister was let go from Lowe's, but honestly, I don't really care why, as long as they stay out of my life. He's dating again, but none of them seem to stick around. As for the assault, he was charged by the officer but only got probation, unfortunately. I know my update might be a little boring compared to the whirlwind chaos that came before, but the calm is honestly wonderful. I just want to let you know I'm okay, I'm still healing, and I'm grateful for all the advice and encouragement along the way.